Hi, everybody. We are working on our next project, which is going to be coil pots. So for this project, you're going to need the rest of your clay, um, however much you have. If you have a lot, great. If you have a little, that's okay. You're going to need some water, just a little bit. This is, a thing. I have my knife. We're going to use the serrated edge as a scorer, and we're going to use the knife to just cut. And you'll need your needle tool slash paper clip thing. Okay, so that's what we're going to need.
We're going to take a small bit of clay, a little bit bigger than a grape, about the size of a walnut, if you've ever seen a not shelled walnut before. And we're going to roll it in between our hands at the palm of our hands using even pressure and moving the clay up and down so that it creates a tube. You want the clay to, you place it down on the ground and then you start rolling it again back and forth from one edge to the other, maintaining even pressure throughout. The pressure you should be using is about the same amount of pressure that you would use to roll a pencil back and forth along a tabletop. So roll that out until it's fairly long, and then we start at one end and start rolling it together. Just like how you would if you've made a cinnamon roll or anything like that, where we want to curl it all together and bring it all into one spot. This is going to be our base. So our base is going to be a coil. We're going to pick it up, place it in our hand to give it some support, add a little bit of water, and start smushing the clay together and smoothing it out. This is going to help us create a nice even base that's going to be level throughout. So once we smooth the one side, and again, we're not adding a whole lot of water, we're mostly using pressure, we're going to flip it over and smooth out the other side as well. And that's going to create a nice base for us. And we're just going to set that down. Be sure you are working on either cloth or paper since we're going to be building directly on the base itself. We don't want to be on plastic because that can get stuck. We're going to take another grape-sized piece of clay and we're going to roll out our next coil. Again, we're going to start in the palms of our hands to kind of get it going for us and then lay it down on our tabletop. We're going to use slow, even motion starting from one edge and working all the way over at a nice, even pace to create that coil. If we are getting a flat edge, you're putting too much pressure on it, so make sure you ease off a little bit. Again, it should be about the amount of pressure that you would use to uh, roll a pencil. We want to make sure that our coil is long enough to fit all the way around. We're going to take our knife and score. Okay, so this is going to be, again, a reminder. Scoring is scratching up the surface of the clay. It helps create a joint there, so it helps the clay stick together. So we'll always want to score the surfaces that we're going to be joining together. So we're going to score the base, and then we're also going to score the coil. And you'll notice that it's not nice and even. It doesn't look pretty. It's not like a series of X's. It's really just kind of roughed up on the surface all the way around. And that's going to help us create a nice surface tension to get that water in there to create slip to help hold this all together. So once we have it scored, we're going to add a little bit of water to the base, again, all the way around, and then add water to the coil itself, covering the entire area. And as we attach it, we kind of want to give it a smush and a wiggle as we're squishing it together, making sure that we're going all the way around the side and blending it in. It is very, very important, especially for this first coil, that it goes on top of the base. Not around it, but on top of. So we should be able to see that base all the way around. Be sure that you're working one coil at a time. Don't try to wrap a coil up multiple levels. We want to stack them on top of each other one by one. Once we're finished with that one coil, we're going to get our next coil going. So again, we're going to grab our clay. We keep our clay wrapped up in plastic when we're not using it, even when we're in the process of making something like this. So I'm going to again get about a grape size ball in my hands. I'm going to roll it up, and then I'm going to start out by making my coil. Again, in the palm of my hand, starting it out, pushing together until it starts to get a little bit long, and then moving it to the tabletop. And from there, once it's on the tabletop, we are going to start to push it again back and forth, nice even pressure with the palm of our hand. We're going to repeat the first step. So we're going to score all the way around the edge. This time you'll notice I'm just doing along that top lip where those coils are going to stack, as well as along my new coil. Going to add water to both. And again, I'm going to squish and kind of give it a little jiggle as I'm attaching it down. This is going to help the clay really get together and make sure that I'm creating a nice, even, and strong joint. I'm going to start my next coil. Again, it's going to be a grape size. Start it out in the palm of my hands by rubbing it together, transfer to the tabletop, rolling it out again, checking to make sure that it's long enough. Now the thickness on my coils, they should be about the thickness of a pencil, a little bit thinner than a pencil, about the thickness of a chopstick really, and we want to keep that even throughout our whole process. If we start to let it get a little bit too thin, our walls become thin and it becomes very, very challenging to keep building on top of it. If we have them be really thick, it can become too thick of a piece and won't allow us to properly dry out or get the height that we need. So we keep on blending. Once we have like 2 or 3 coils on, we can actually start blending and smoothing from the inside, and that's going to help us create a nice even surface. So again, about the size of a grape, started out in my hand, transfer it to the tabletop, even pressure starting from one edge to the other, using the palm of my hand, just like how you would roll a pencil back and forth. I'm going to score both the lip where I am attaching and the clay itself. And you can see how soft and pliable this clay is. It's going to need to dry up a little bit before I can really keep building on top of it. Okay, so make sure you're paying attention
So if we
to
just try
that.
to put the clay together like this, right? If I put my hands together like this, it's very easy for me to pull them apart, right? Even if I tried to like lock them in, there's nothing there to keep them. So when we score, what we do is we kind of open that out, and then when we push the clay together, it's joined up like this. So now when I try to pull my hands apart, right, it gets a little more stuck. So keep that in mind. Coil building, one of the things is you're not going to be able to get this done all in one day, because you can see how soft this is getting. And if we remember our pinch pot, right, we want it to be a little bit more set up before we can start building up more. For this piece, I could probably add one more coil today. And then after that, I would definitely need to let it dry up a little bit so that this part can hold its shape before I start trying to add on to this. All right. So that's it, guys. We're just making coils. Remember, score and add water, which is going to create that slip in between each individual coil. And then once you get above your third coil, you want to start blending the inside together to create a smooth surface. And that way, those coils really stick together. Okay, so if you're not sure if you're using enough pressure or not, what you can do is very gently just grab one of your coils and try to pull it up. Okay, so if it pulls up easily, like I'll show you guys. If I just like stick this one on real quick without slipping and scoring, right? If I try to pull this up, you can see how easy that is. So I should not be able to pull your project apart, and that's how you can check to make sure that it's gonna hold together. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make good choices. Bye.